If you've ever worked a night shift, then you already know there's a point in the night when everything starts to feel wrong. Not dangerous, exactly. Just wrong. Like the building you're standing in has decided it belongs to something else until morning. I learned that the hard way during a security job I only kept for 3 nights. And before anyone says it, no, I wasn't sleep deprived, I wasn't drunk, and I wasn't trying to scare myself. I took that job because I needed money, fast. A friend of my uncle knew a property management guy who needed someone to sit overnight in an old office building that was waiting to be renovated. The regular security company had dropped the contract supposedly because the place had too many maintenance issues and it wasn't worth the trouble. That should have been my first warning. But when you're behind on rent, you don't really stop to study red flags. You tell yourself things like, it's one building, one desk, one night shift. What's the worst that could happen? The building was on the edge of town, out past a row of closed warehouses and half-dead parking lots where weeds push through cracks in the pavement. During the day, it probably looked depressing. At night, it looked abandoned. 6 floors, old tinted windows, a lobby with a cracked directory board. Half the exterior lights were burned out, so the whole place sat in patches of yellow light and shadow like it was trying not to be noticed. The property manager met me there before my first shift. His name was Daniel, late 40s, tired eyes, the kind of guy who always seemed to be in a hurry even when he was standing still. He gave me a key card, a flashlight, and a radio that looked older than I was. Then he ran through the rules. Sit in the lobby. Check the first 3 floors once every hour. Don't go to floors 4, 5, or 6 because they were still unsafe. If I heard construction noise, ignore it. If the elevator opened by itself, don't use it. That last part made me laugh a little. I actually said, "What is the elevator haunted?" And Daniel looked at me in a way I still think about sometimes. Not amused, not annoyed, just quiet. Then he said, "The sensors are old, stairs are better." I should have left right then, but instead I nodded like that was a normal thing to say, signed the temp paperwork, and watched him leave me alone in the building at 10:47 p.m. There's a special kind. Silence in empty office buildings. Homes make sense at night. Even when they're quiet, they still feel lived in. Office buildings don't. They feel paused, like everybody vanished in the middle of a sentence. The lobby had a reception desk, 2 dead plants, and an old wall clock that ticked louder the longer you listened to it. Behind the desk were security monitors, but only 6 cameras still worked. And half of those flickered every few seconds. One showed the lobby doors. One showed the loading dock, 3 covered sections of the first floor hallway. And the last one showed a narrow corridor on the 3rd floor near a locked suite that used to belong to a dental office. That corridor would become important later. For the first hour, nothing happened. I sat there scrolling on my phone, getting up every so often to walk the first 3 floors with the flashlight. Most of the offices were empty except for old desks, stacks of water-damaged ceiling tiles, and random junk left behind by people who clearly never expected to come back. On the 2nd floor, I found a break room with a vending machine that still hummed even though it was unplugged. I noticed that because I actually checked. The cord was coiled on the floor behind it. Still, it hummed. That was the 2nd warning. At 12:13 p.m. a.m., the elevator opened by itself. The bell gave a soft ding behind me, and I jumped so hard I almost dropped the radio. The doors slid open. Nobody inside. Just a stale gust of cold air that didn't smell like dust or mildew or old carpet. It smelled like wet concrete. I stared at it for maybe 3 seconds, waiting for someone to step out. Nobody did. Then the doors closed again. I remember actually laughing to myself because I was embarrassed by how badly it startled me. That's the thing with places like that. At first, every strange thing has a reasonable explanation: bad wiring, old pipes, settling walls. A draft, a glitch. Your brain wants the world to make sense, so it works overtime to keep it normal. At 12:40 p.m., while I was doing another walk on the 2nd floor, I heard footsteps above me. Not vague sounds, not creaking. Footsteps, slow, measured. Like someone crossing a room in hard-soled shoes. I stopped in the middle of the hallway and listened. 3 steps, pause, 2 more, then silence. I looked up like that would help somehow. Floors 4 through 6 were supposed to be empty. I told myself it was plumbing, or the building shifting, or maybe Daniel had forgotten something and came back in through another entrance. So I got on the radio. "Daniel, you in the building?" Static, then nothing. I tried again, no answer. When I got back to the lobby, I checked the monitors. At first, nothing. Then on the 3rd floor hallway camera, I saw movement. A person just for a second. Something pale crossing from one side of the corridor to the other, fast enough that if I had blinked, I would have missed it. I leaned in close to the monitor. The hallway was empty again. Now, if you've never seen something on a low-quality security camera, let me explain how your brain reacts. It doesn't fully process it as real. It looks too grainy, too distant, too easy to dismiss, so instead of panicking, you start negotiating with yourself. Maybe it was a reflection, maybe interference, maybe my own face in the glass, maybe a bug near the lens. That's what I was doing when the same camera flickered. And for one frame, just one, there was someone standing at the very end of the hall facing the camera flickered. And for one frame, just one, there was someone standing at the very end of the hall facing the camera. Then the image cut with static. When it came back, the hallway was empty. I picked up the flashlight and told myself I was going to prove it was nothing. Even now, that decision annoys me, because deep down I already knew I didn't want to go up there. But there's this pride that kicks in when you're alone and scared. You don't want to feel ridiculous. You want to be the kind of person who checks. So I went to the stairwell and climbed to the third floor. The third floor was colder than the other two, not by a little, by enough that I saw my breath for a second when I exhaled. The flashlight beam shook slightly in my hand, which I told myself was because the batteries were loose. I followed the hallway exactly as it appeared on the monitor. Closed doors, peeling paint, old sweet numbers, a water stain on the ceiling shaped like a hand, and at the far end, the corridor turned left toward the old dental office. I got halfway down when I heard something small and metallic roll across the floor ahead of me. It made a light clinking sound, then stopped. I froze. My flashlight landed on a single elevator key, just lying there in the middle of the hallway. I hadn't noticed it on the monitor before. I hadn't brought it up with me. And I knew for a fact it hadn't been there earlier because I'd already checked that floor once during my first patrol. I didn't pick it up. I wish I could tell you that was because I was smart. Truth is, I just didn't want to touch anything in that hallway, so I kept moving. Slower now, until I reached the corner. And that's where I saw the door. The old dental office suite should have been locked. I knew that because Daniel had specifically pointed it out when he gave me the tour. But now, it was open. Not wide. Just a few inches. Enough to reveal a line of darkness inside. I stood there listening. Nothing. No breathing. No movement. No voices. Then, from inside the room, I heard the soft whir of something electric. It sounded almost like a machine powering up. I took one step back, and then a voice from inside the suite said, very clearly, "You're early." I ran. I didn't shine the light in. I didn't ask who was there. I didn't try to be brave. I turned and ran so hard down that hallway I nearly slipped, hit the stairwell door with my shoulder, and stumbled all the way back to the lobby. Once I got there, I locked myself behind the reception desk like that would do anything. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I called Daniel 3 times. No answer. I called the property office number listed on the paperwork, voicemail. Then I did what I should have done first. I called the police. I told them I was working security in a vacant office building and that I had reason to believe someone was inside on an upper floor. I did not tell them a voice had spoken to me from a dark room. I was trying very hard not to sound insane. The dispatcher said officers would come check it out. While I waited, I kept my eyes on the monitors. Everything was still for maybe 5 full minutes. Then the third floor camera went dead. Not static, not flicker. Dead black screen. A second later, the lobby camera showed the front doors and reflected faintly in the glass outside. Just beyond the reach of the lights was a figure standing perfectly still. I couldn't see a face, just the outline. Tall, thin, not moving. I stared at the monitor. Then I looked at the actual front doors across the lobby. Nothing there. I looked back at the screen. The figure was still visible in the reflection. That was the first moment I genuinely felt something colder than fear, because it meant one of 2 things. Either the camera was showing me something that wasn't at the door anymore, or it was showing me something I couldn't see from where I was sitting. The police arrived 10 minutes later. 2 officers. I've never been so happy to see anyone in my life. I met them at the door and tried to explain without sounding hysterical. I mentioned the footsteps, the open suite, the voice, the camera issue. They exchanged one of those looks people give each other when they think you've let your imagination get ahead of you. But to their credit, they still checked the building. I stayed in the lobby while they went up. For the next 15 minutes, I watched their flashlights moving through the first floor cameras, then disappear. Then the radio on the desk crackled. One of the officers had borrowed it before going upstairs. At first, it was just static. Then a voice came through. Not one of the officers, not Daniel. A woman's voice, low and distorted like she was speaking through water. It said, "He brought others." I grabbed the radio and shouted, "Hello." Nothing. A minute later, one of the officers came back down alone. He looked annoyed more than concerned. Said they'd checked the third floor and found the open suite, but no one inside. No sign of forced entry. No squatters. No evidence anybody had been in there recently. I asked where the other officer was. He said he was still checking the stairwell. Then he frowned at me and asked, "Did you go upstairs after we did?" I said no, he said. "Then who was on the second floor?" I swear every hair on my arm stood up at once. He said while they were coming down, his partner looked through the stairwell window and saw a man in dark clothes standing in the second floor hallway facing the door. They'd gone down after him immediately. But when they opened the door, the hallway was empty. No sound, no movement, nobody. At that point, even the officer looked unsettled. They did one more sweep, told me to call again if anything else happened, and left. I thought about leaving too, I really did. But I was broke, stubborn, and still trying to convince myself there had to be an explanation, so I stayed. The building got worse after 2 a.m. That's the only way to put it. The air felt heavier, the sounds got closer, and the silence between them got more deliberate, like whatever was making them knew I was listening. At 2:17 a.m., every call button for the elevator lit up at once. I know because I could see the reflection of them in the polished tile near the lobby wall. One by one, from all 6 floors, the lights blinked on. Then the elevator started moving. Floor 1.2, 3.4, 5.6, back down to 1. The doors opened. Empty, then closed and went back up again. When I looked up, the elevator was on floor 4. Then 5, then 6. And it stopped there. The number 6 stayed lit for almost a full minute. Then the display changed. Not to 5, not to anything normal. Just a dash, like it wasn't on a floor anymore. That should not be possible. By the way, old elevators don't invent new settings in the middle of the night. Then the bell dinged. The doors opened in the lobby, and muddy footprints stepped out onto the tile. One after another. No person, no body. Just wet, dark footprints appearing in front of me and continuing across the lobby toward the hall that led to the stairwell. I couldn't move. I just watched them appear and fade slightly as they went. Like someone invisible was walking through dirty water and tracking it inside. When the last print disappeared around the corner, I finally stood up. Then every monitor shut off at the same time, complete black. The only light left in the lobby was from the vending machine near the far wall and the glowing red exit sign above the doors. And in that dim light, I heard someone whisper from directly behind the reception desk, "Don't let it think you saw." I spun around with the flashlight. Nothing. Nobody. Just the dead plants, the old binders, and my own reflection trembling in the dark monitor glass. I left the desk. I didn't care anymore. I was done. I headed straight for the front entrance. And that's when my keycard stopped working. I swiped it once. Red light again. Red light. Again. Then all the lobby lights went out. Not dimmed. Out. The darkness was instant and total. You don't realize how much space light gives you until it's gone. Without it, that lobby felt enormous, like I was standing at the bottom of a well. I pulled out my phone for the flashlight, but the battery had dropped from 63% to 4. No warning. No reason. Just almost dead. And somewhere above me, from inside the building, I heard the elevator begin to descend. Slowly, floor by floor. Not with the usual motor hum, with a dragging sound. Like it was carrying something too heavy. 6.5, 4.3, 2.1. The bell dinged in the dark. The doors opened. I heard bare feet step onto the tile. Not wet this time. Dry, soft, unhurried. I backed against the front door, still swiping the keycard, whispering, "Come on," over and over like that would help. Then my phone light caught part of the lobby directory board. Someone had written something across it in black marker. I know it hadn't been there before. It said, "You were not the first." The footsteps stopped. I don't know why, but that was the moment I finally understood. Whatever was in that building had done this before. Maybe to security guards. Maybe to maintenance workers. Maybe to anyone stupid enough to stay after midnight and keep answering the building like it was normal. And then, from the darkness near the elevator, a voice said, "You stayed longer than the others." Samey voice from the office suite. Same calm tone, almost conversational. My phone light shook toward the sound. I saw enough. A shape too tall to be right. A pale face, but wrong somehow, like the features were arranged with only a rough understanding of how a face should look, and eyes reflecting light from too far back inside the head. I didn't wait for more. I took the metal flashlight and smashed the glass emergency pull box beside the door, hit the manual release, and threw my shoulder into the front entrance until it finally gave. I ran across the parking lot without looking back. Didn't stop at my car. Didn't stop until I reached the road. When I finally turned around, the building was dark again, completely dark. Except for one window on the 6th floor, a light was on. and there was someone standing there watching. I quit before sunrise. Daniel finally called me back around 8:30 a.m. that morning like nothing was wrong. I told him I was done and that there was something seriously wrong with that building. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "You went to the third-floor dental suite, didn't you?" I asked him how he knew. He didn't answer directly. He just said the last long-term tenant there had complained for months that someone kept speaking to her through the walls after hours. She thought it was homeless people at first. Then she said the voices knew her name. Eventually, she broke her lease. After that, 2 overnight cleaners refused to return. One said he saw a person enter the elevator on 6, but when it opened on 1, there was no one there. The other heard somebody crying in an office that had already been demolished. I asked him why he'd sent me in there without telling me any of that. And this is the part that still bothers me most. He said, because people hear stories and make them bigger. Most nights, nothing happens. Most nights, I told him to lose my number. A month later, I drove past the building in daylight, mostly to prove to myself it was just an old place with a bad reputation and too many creepy coincidences. The parking lot was fenced off. There were permits posted out front, and a banner said renovation work would begin soon. 3 weeks after that, there was a fire, not a huge one, just enough damage to delay the project. The article online said the cause was electrical, but somebody in the comments claimed they'd worked one of the cleanup crews and found messages written inside the walls behind the old dental suite. Same sentence over and over. You were not the first. I told myself people online make things up. I still tell myself that. But here's why I'm sharing this now. Last week, after almost a year of not thinking about that place, I got an email from an address I didn't recognize. No subject line, no signature, no message history, just one sentence. You left before morning. I changed my number. I deleted the account. I moved apartments 2 months later for unrelated reasons, though I'd be lying if I said the email wasn't in my mind while I packed, and for a while, nothing happened. Then 2 nights ago, I was half asleep in bed when I heard something in the hallway outside my apartment. Not loud, just slow footsteps, measured. Unhurried, they stopped outside my door. I checked the peephole, no one there. I stood there for maybe a minute, listening to my own breathing, feeling stupid all over again. Then my phone buzzed in my hand. Unknown number, 1 text, 3 words. You saw enough. I don't work nights anymore, and if you ever get offered easy money to watch an empty building until sunrise, do yourself a favor. Ask why the last person didn't stay, because some places aren't abandoned. They're occupied by something that just doesn't need daylight.